welcome and thank you for joining us this evening. This is going to be a tutorial about how to get started with eBird and hopefully address any questions that folks might have about making the best of this program. My name is Greg, by the way. I'm Gregory Askew, if we haven't met in person yet or haven't corresponded. Our agenda for this evening, I'm going to be talking about three main points. First, just a quick overview of what you can do in eBird. Then I'm going to go into a bit more detail about how to get started using eBird, so setting up your account, profiles, language preferences, and then the real brass tacks with how to actually use eBird to report your bird sightings. Now, I don't have a paid account to Zoom, so I've broken this meeting into two sessions. So session one, which will run till 7:40, I'm going to run through the information I'd like to share about eBird. And I ask everyone to hold questions specifically for me until the end of the meeting. And maybe going at the end of the meeting, if we finish early, or the second session that I have planned just for questions and general support. If we have any Arabic speakers with us, if you're having any trouble with the information I'm sharing in English, please use the chat box, write your questions in Arabic, and my co-host Ibrahim Mishwamin is with us, and he can respond in the chat box in Arabic to support you. Okay. And then I'll check the chat box as well for any questions in English that maybe I can address in the second session. I apologize if you find that I'm moving too quickly through the information, then don't worry, right? I'm recording this meeting, and I'll be uploading the video to YouTube and putting it on my website as well. So this way, if there's anything that you might still be fuzzy with by the end of this, you can, watch that video, skip ahead to those sections, and hopefully it'll be clear then. Okay. So can you guys just give me a thumbs up in the chat if you're hearing me okay before I get going? Or a visual thumbs up is perfect. Okay, thank you so much. All right, now I got somebody coming in. All right. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for your comment there, Tim. Okay, so let me begin by sharing my screen. So I'm going to go to Safari now, and we'll get started. I'm going to have to minimize you guys, as much as it's nice to see your faces. I got other stuff I need to see on the screen. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so let's get started then. So first up, you don't need an account to use eBird, right? There's things that you can do with eBird where you don't without having an account. So for example, you can explore sightings. So here's the main page on eBird, right? I haven't signed in, right? This is what you will see if you don't have an account and you're not signed in yourself. And here in the upper menu, right, we've got a few of the main options, and we can just go to explore. Okay, so without having an account, right, we can go to explore. We can explore a species. For example, we could type in the Arabian lark, right? It's now a species unto itself, which is awesome. And we can click on that, and it's going to bring us to some basic information about the birds. We'll see some of the media here. This is a fantastic picture by Mansour Al-Fahd. He's a Saudi bird watcher. And some basic information about the birds. We've got the range map here with sightings that have been reported to eBird, and we can click on this large map click on this link here for the large map to actually zoom in and get more details about individual sightings. Okay, and there's some options you can play with there in terms of how far back you want to go, and just to help you if you really want to see for example what's been seen in the past year versus what's been seen since 1900. I think these go as far back to. Okay, and like I said, we've got some media here that you can click through and enjoy, including the audio and video. Okay, so that's exploring by individual species. You can also explore regions, right? So type in Saudi Arabia, and you can get a sense of what's being what has been seen in the country, what's been seen recently, as well as other information such as this is the full list right here. All the birds that have been seen in Saudi, at least reported to eBird. The actual list is quite a bit longer. I think we're up to 503 species. So eBird has a lot of catching up to do, a lot of missing data. We've got the top media, right? This is from eBirders in Saudi Arabia. We've got by province or regions, as well as the top hotspots. So if you're looking for a hotspot in Saudi Arabia, where you can find some of the best birds and the greatest abundance of birds, right? Then you can explore the region here at eBird without having an account. You can also click the Explore Hotspots here. This will show you hotspots of the world. Okay, so these are all the eBird hotspots. They're quite dense in North America, South America, East Africa, and Southeast Asia, right? But not so much happening here in Saudi. And it's not that we don't have great places to go birding, but we need more people getting out there, finding birds, also finding new hotspots to add to our hotspot list. And you can search for hotspots by location. So type in the location and it'll zoom you into the country, zoom in a little closer. And I'm gonna take you to where I am in Saudi. So some of our folks are on the West Coast, where I would like to be at the moment, because the migration out there right now appears to be off the charts. But this is where I live, near the city of Al Hafuf. And this is my hotspot. This is my patch right here, Al Asfar Lake. So you can zoom in, click on the hotspot, and find out what's been seen there over time, what's been seen there recently, and that way you can plan a visit to some of these hotspots and have a sense of what to expect. Okay, so that is exploring. I think that's about it. Yeah. Oh yeah. I also wanted to point out there's some other things here from the Explore page, but you need an account for this. So for example, once you have an account and you've started to submit sightings, you can click on target species, right? You could type in Saudi Arabia, for example, type in for your life list or for your year list, and eBird will provide a list of things you have yet to see, right? So that you would need to see to add to your life list or add to your year list. Also here with alerts, you can sign up for needs alerts or rare bird alerts for different places around the world. I follow alerts from around the Gulf, so Saudi, Kuwait, Qatar, the UAE also. You could select one for Saudi, and then anytime anyone reports something that's either rare or something that you need, you'll get an email from eBird alerting you to this. Okay, so it's another really fantastic feature to kind of keep you in the loop as to what's happening with birds around you from other eBirders. Now let's get into it. Now with eBird, right, the main thing, the thing I'm really promoting is to get people using it to submit their sightings. Okay, so you for this you would need an account. You need to sign up. Now there's two ways to submit sightings, and I'm going to go into detail about those later. But you can do it directly from the eBird website, or you can use eBird mobile, which I'll be sharing with you later as well. So that's right when you're out in the field, use the eBird app to submit what you're seeing, submit checklists, excuse me, of what you're seeing. And once you've done that, once you've submitted a checklist, right, you can also contribute media to eBird of the birds that you had seen, right? So this could be photos of the birds, videos, as well as audio recordings. Unfortunately, contributing media can only be done through the website and not through the app. And it's something I'll show you in a little bit, but it's something that you will add to a submitted checklist. So you have to submit your checklists first, and then subsequently go back and upload any media that you have of the species, the bird species you saw. But the cool thing about that is media that you contribute will be archived in the Cornell Lab of Ornithology's Macaulay Library in their collection. And you know, some of your media might get featured for species accounts in eBird itself, like we saw that picture of the Arabian lark from Mansour Al-Fahid. Some of our other photographers that are with this evening have photos, like Ibrahim has a wonderful photo of the Asir magpie that can be seen on eBird. And this media may also be featured on Cornell's new encyclopedic Birds of the World, which is kind of took the place of the handbook of the Birds of the World. So everything that you submit through eBird, archived in Macaulay Library, and might be featured for other people's benefits at this other site, Birds of the World, as well. Okay, so hopefully I'm not going too fast for you guys, but now I'm going to start getting into the meat of it, right? So first, how to get started with eBird. So of course, you've got to create an account. Oh, sorry, hold on a second. Oh, I left people waiting. I'm so sorry, Alma. I'm so sorry, Duha. I left you waiting there at the door. Okay. Let's see there. Just make sure everybody in. Everybody's in. Okay. So first up, you're going to have to create an account. So go to ebird.org, right? That's ebird.org. And this is the page you'll see. Let's see here. Let's go. This is the page you'll see. Going back. We're at the Explore page. So back in the main page. Okay. And from there, you want to create your account. Okay, so click on this green button at the top, right? And basic information for setting up your account. What I want to point out first, though, is that you can change the language for the website, right? Especially if English is not your first language, and maybe some of it may be challenging for you. The only problem is the eBird website doesn't support Arabic yet, unfortunately. But if you speak Ruski, or if you speak Deutsch, any of these other languages here, you are sorted. But hopefully soon eBird will have this in Arabic as well. That'd be fantastic. But there is the chance to change your checklists to Arabic, and I'll show you how to do that in a short bit. Okay, so yeah, you can change the language here if you prefer. Then all of the information you see here will be in that language. Create your account. And then, of course, you'll need to go to your email and confirm your email and then log in. Okay. So now I'm going to log in with not my personal account, but this is the account I created for the Saudi birding team. So this is the account that will be collecting all of our sightings for the global big day on October 9th, Saturday, October 9th. Okay, so now I've logged in, and this is what you'll see once you've logged in, right? There's news, then you have your stats. So right now our stats are 0 because hopefully we'll have huge numbers here after October 9th. But this account won't be active until that Saturday. All right, so from here, this is where we can get into preferences, okay, account preferences. So if you go to the upper right corner, to where you see the little silhouette of the person there, and go to profile. So click that drop-down menu, go to profile, and from here, you can do it's some fun stuff here. I created this profile for our Saudi birding team. Now from here, you can edit the profile. You can upload a photo, a profile pic. You can add a link for a website, right? And add some details to say, you know, who you are, where you're coming from, and what you're about. Also here, you can indicate if you want to keep your profile private or not. Okay, so some people do prefer to keep their profile private, and their sightings as well. Keep their sightings anonymous as well. And I'll show you how to make yours anonymous. If you make your profile private, with your profile as public, anyone who sees your name in eBird can click on your name, and it'll bring you to your profile. So they can read about you, they can see where you've birded, they can see how many birds you've seen and where. They can see your media as well, so pictures, video, audio that you've uploaded. So it's if you're into that, if you'd like to share, you want to be part of this larger community, then leave your profile public. But if not, then untick that box, and then when they see your name, there won't be a link there. It'll just be your name and text. Okay. Now, I have this zoomed in on Saudi, but you can zoom out and it'll show where you've birded in the world, and how many species you saw in different countries. But here we're zoomed in because I'm interested to see on Saturday the 9th, right, how many species we can get by region in Saudi Arabia. So, so far we're looking good. We have birders in most of the regions ready for October 9th. So I'm excited to see how this map lights up with our observations. Okay, so let's see here. What else do we want to do? So we want to go back to the dropdown. And now we want to go to preferences. Okay, this is where we've got a few other preferences here, including changing the language that the names of the species are displayed in the checklists. Okay. All right, so if you click on preferences, now it says common name translated to. Okay, so by default, this will be English. Okay. Is everybody with me? Just make sure that nobody's waiting. Okay, good. All right, so by default, it's English, but here, this is where we can change it to Arabic if we want to, okay? And we can tick this, we have the option here to have only the common name, only the scientific name, or both. So now we'll have the common name of the birds as well as the scientific name in the checklist. Now, for Arabic speakers, this is helpful because a lot of these birds have different names in Arabic in different, not just different parts of the Arab world, but even different parts of Saudi Arabia. They use different names for these different common names for these birds. So it can get a little confusing. So the benefit of having the Arabic and the scientific name is, maybe the common name is not the one you're used to. Maybe that's one that's maybe a little too formal, or maybe too direct of a translation and not the classical name for the bird. So you want to look to the scientific name to make sure, right, you're selecting the right species. So you can opt for both here, Arabic and the scientific name. Again, here, when you post sightings, you can opt for anonymous eBirder. So, right, this will show up in the data, right? If you don't want people to know, right, it was you that saw that amazing bird, and they'll come and harass you about it. Okay, and then here we have data privacy. Now, I have this ticked, hide my data from the top 100, because this is not my personal account. This is the account for the Saudi birding team. Okay, so that's the only box I ticked. In my personal account, none of these boxes are ticked because we want our data to be shared. So there may be reasons to hide it, especially if there's any sensitive species, perhaps, that you don't want the news of their presence to go out too widely. That's fine. So, but these are some options about how to protect the privacy of your data, if you wish. And checklist notifications, right? That's the basic stuff there. All right, so now that covers it for preferences. So now let me get to creating and submitting checklists. Okay, nobody's waiting. I'm totally worried I've left somebody waiting at the door. Okay. Now, once you've created your account, right, and you've set up your preferences the way you like them, and say you went out birding this morning, maybe you carried a notebook with you, you noted everything you saw on how many of each. Then you come home, you get online, go to eBird, and you click on the submit button that you see here in the upper menu. Oops, there you go. Okay, so from here, right, these are the steps for creating a checklist. Now, we've got some options for indicating the location, but right, the easiest thing to do is just type Saudi Arabia, and this will bring up, you can find your location on the map. Okay, so what you see here on the map are hotspots as well as clusters of hotspots. So this little plus sign is a cluster. If you click on it, it'll bring you in and show you all the hotspots contained within that cluster. So if you were birding at a hotspot, then that's the location you should choose, right? If you were at a known hotspot. Okay, if you weren't at a known hotspot, then you can zoom in, find your spot. It'll tell you if you're not close enough, right? Zoom in, and then double click to plot your location. Now from here, right, on the website, when you plot a new location, you can type a location name. Okay, so just type your name there, type the name of the location. Now, if this is a publicly accessible location, right, and one that has some special, maybe, it's an area with some special habitat or some special features, different than from other areas around it, that make it make it a really great birding spot, then you can suggest it as a birding hotspot. When you do this, right, that will come to me as a suggested hotspot. I'm the eBird reviewer here in Saudi, and I'll take a look at the area in a map. And if it does seem like a special place and there wouldn't be any issues with people accessing that location, so for example, you shouldn't suggest a private property as a hotspot. Unless you want tons of birders going there and getting in trouble, perhaps. This is the Middle East. So we don't want that. So make sure it's a publicly accessible place and that, you know, it's a worthy spot for birding. There's the potential for lots of birds there. So yeah, you choose your location. You can suggest it as a hotspot, and then I'm going to untick that. Then click continue. Once you've got your location, then you select the date, right? The date of your observations and the observation type. Okay, so if you're out, it's a morning dedicated to birding, then very likely you're going to tick traveling, right, for the observation type. And then you'll put the start time. Okay, get out of your message from Zoom. Okay, then you're going to put your start time. Okay, you can do it. This is the 12-hour clock, right? You can change it to the 24-hour clock if you like. How long you were birding. Okay, so by hours and minutes. Okay, and the distance that you covered. Now, there's a general rule. I think it still stands that you should create a new checklist if your birding takes you beyond 10 miles, right, or 16 kilometers. Okay, once if you've covered that much ground, then you should submit the list that you accumulated or that you built in that 10 to 16 that 10 mile 16 kilometer range, and then start a new checklist. So the distance, right, 10 miles max, 16 kilometers max, right? Party size, this is the number of people who were birding with you. So this is me, often just one, alone here in the Eastern Province. And then we have here checklist comments. You know, usually I leave this blank, but you know, sometimes people will write comments about, you know, other things they encountered. For example, mammals they may have encountered, or interesting reptiles, or maybe commenting about the weather conditions on that day, right? So just general comments about the birding effort, and nothing about specific species, right? Because there's a place to do that in the checklist. Okay, so let's just put in some times. Right, is out for an hour. I drove 10 miles. One other comment here about observation type. Now we do have incidental. Incidental, you could be driving to work and you saw a bird, you want to report it. We also have historical, and we have stationary. So stationary, maybe you were standing at the edge of the sea for an hour and watching birds fly by, or maybe you're on top of a mountain at a hawk watch and counting, or excuse me, a raptor watch, like buzzards and eagles, and counting everything that passed by. This would be a stationary list. Okay. All right, so it's looking like I'm gonna run out of time in the first session. I did not check to see how much time it would take to cover all of this, but let me see what I can do. If necessary, I'll share. Oh, sorry, I need to specify date. Okay, so September 1st. If necessary, I'll send that other link to everyone. Everyone can take like a 10-minute break. I'll send a link. I'll put it in the Facebook page as well as our WhatsApp group and for people to rejoin. Okay, so this is the checklist. Okay, and it's not giving the name in Arabic or the scientific name. Interesting. All right. So what I'd like to talk about here is, first up, right, you're going to input numbers for the number of individuals that you saw of a species. So for example, we have the feral pigeon here, right? And I saw 10. Okay. So this is how you create your checklist, right? How many of each species did you see? Now, with the count, sometimes we have we'll see birds in large numbers, and some people like to just put an X. Right, there were so many black-winged stilt that just there's no way that I could even guess at how many there were. Um, this is considered an incomplete checklist in eBird if you're using X's to mark the presence of birds. eBird would really like you to input numbers here and make the data even more useful. So even if your guess is off, having any number is better than having no number. But there's a great article. There is a great article in eBird with advice about how to count large numbers of birds, right? How to guesstimate. So I'll share that link with everyone. I'm going to put that in the chat right now. Let's see here. Did it? Edit link. And this is a really excellent article. It helped me out greatly with my shorebird surveys here. And this will give you helpful advice about, how to get a rough number of those, huge flocks of shorebirds and whatnot. So you actually have a number to input here. Okay. Now, what did I want to say? Yes, we've got some options here. Now, the box is ticked for show subspecies. Okay, if it's unticked, then you'd want to tick it, especially here in Saudi, because we get, I think, 4 or 5 subspecies of yellow wagtails. Okay, so if you don't tick that subspecies box, then you're giving us, the nominate species, yellow wagtail. But as we know, these 4 subspecies are quite distinct, and we want to know where they are when they're arriving. So it's really good to select subspecies, and if we see yellow wagtails, really do our best to figure out which subspecies we're looking at. Now, all of the birds on the list you see here would be expected in the Eastern Province, not just this time of year, but any time of year, but we could expect them in the Eastern Province. But say, for example, you encounter something rare, you would want to tick the box, show rarities. And then it'll give you the complete list of birds that have been seen in the Eastern Province or in Saudi Arabia at some point in the past, but those ones that would be considered rare for Saudi Arabia or even for the time of year, I believe. But no, I think these are just, these are all just rare species. Okay. And if you do see a rare species, you will be expected to add details. Okay, so just some details to help the reviewer. I'm the eBird reviewer, but help me support your identification. So how did you know that's what you were looking at? How did you separate this bird from any similar species? Is maybe just something there to acknowledge that this is an unusual bird to see. And I got to add some people. Okay, here we go. Okay, that it's an unusual bird to see, and you want to make sure that the report is accepted, right? Without details and without supporting media, and I'll show you how to add media, then I can't accept the rare reports without those details, without the supporting details and media. Okay, so where are we now? Oh, okay, so we do have some options here. Age and sex. age and sex of birds. So if you do happen to know if it's a male or a female, or if it's a young bird or an adult bird, you can indicate how many of each that you saw. We also have breeding code here. So if you observed breeding, and this is especially important in Saudi Arabia because there's a lack of data about breeding birds in Saudi Arabia. So if you observe breeding, right, then you find the highest possible code. So what did you witness, right? Did you witness a nest with young birds, right? This would be the highest possible code proving breeding of the species. Okay, so where does that leave us now? All right, so if you select something rare, or if you put a crazy number of birds and you try to submit it, this will be flagged before the checklist is accepted, and you'll be asked to add details. Right, so add details about the sighting before you're able to submit it. Okay, and then that will go to me to look at your sighting, check out the information the details you've provided, and any media you've added to support, and then accept it or reject it based on that. Let's see here. Okay, so I think we can go to that now. I think we can go to add media. So I'm gonna wind up deleting this report afterwards, but just for demonstration purposes. All right, so now before you can submit, you need to indicate whether you're submitting a complete checklist of everything that you saw, or an incomplete checklist, maybe just a selection of the birds that you saw. So I drove 10 miles and I saw 1 shoveler and 10 feral pigeons, okay, in 10 miles. That is Saudi birding sometimes, unfortunately. Oh yeah, I forgot, and 150 black-winged stilts. So once you've submitted, then you have the option to, okay, sorry guys, now let me share the other session just in case I lose you. What happened here? I just lost eBird. Let me share the link for the other session just in case I lose you. I don't know how this works. But let me share it here in the chat. And if I happen to lose you, then we're going to be back here at 7:50, or maybe we can just continue from the other session. So can somebody, are you still with me? Thumbs up in the chat. And then I'll explain how to add media to your checklists. Okay, excellent, excellent. So I'm gonna continue speaking. It's 7:40. Maybe Zoom is gonna charge me afterwards, demand money, I'm not sure. But I'll continue, and if we happen to lose each other, just use this other link in the chat to join the second session, okay? All right, so let's get back to it. Oops, I clicked on the wrong thing. Okay, so I've submitted my checklist. Now I'm ready to add media. So click on that. Add media button there at the top. And let me get back to my notes. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna have to agree to these terms because this is the first time I'm using this option with this account. Now, you've submitted your checklist, right? You've got your numbers, right? As accurate as you can get them. And now you want to add media. So you would add media for individual species, right? You click on the add media button, and then you select your files. Hold on a second here. I'm hiding my cancel button. There you go. Let me, since I actually have a picture of randomly have a picture of a pigeon. on my desktop, right? We can add a picture. We can also add audio this way, and we can add video this way as well. Now, as it says here, there's a maximum of 10 files per species. So that it doesn't matter if it's 10 videos or 10 audio files or 10 pictures or a mix of the three. There's a 10 file limit per species. And we have some file size limits as well. So it's a 10 megabyte limit for photos and a 250 megabyte limit for audio and video. Okay. But once you've added your media, then you can click done. Right, and your checklist is ready to go. Now, if you were birding with other people, let me just show you before I talk about that. You see this drop-down menu here. From here, if you need to go back in and make some changes to your checklist, if there's some additional media that you'd like to add to your checklist, you click this drop-down, and you have these different edit options. So edit the location, edit the date and effort, edit species, manage media, as well as share with others, right? These are the main ones here. So you click these to go in and add species or remove species, add media or remove media, right? Whatever change you need to make. But this is the edit menu here. You can also, if you're sharing, where's that? Here we go. Yeah, so there's the share button. So if others were birding with you, or if you're participating in an event like the October Big Day, or participating in a special project, right? You can click on the share. You can type in the username. So for example, this is my personal username. Okay. The username of the person or the person's account email, right? And separating them with commas if there's more than one person to share your checklist. And of course, you can write a little message there too, as well. That's optional. But what you need is the username or the person's account email to share the checklist. Now, those of you participating in the October Big Day on Saturday, October 9th, you will be sharing with Saudi Birding Team. So you will type in Saudi Birding Team here and then click Share Checklist. And what will happen is I'll receive a notification that you shared a checklist with the team account, and I will accept it. And then everything that you saw will go into the team account, and we'll have it all collected together, provided that everyone is sharing their checklists. All right, so let's see here. That covers using the website version of eBird, right, to submit your sightings and managing your checklist. So yeah, there is this all checklist option here. So after you submitted checklists, edited checklists, if you ever need to go back to an older checklist to edit one of those, you click all checklists and you'll see a list of all your checklists here. And you can click on it, click on the one, and then go back to editing. Okay, so it looks like we're all still here. The world didn't end. It's 7:45. So can I get a thumbs up that everyone's still out there? If so, I'm just going to continue. I'm going to continue. Once I'm almost done, actually. I'm going to talk about eBird Mobile right now, and then eBird Mobile. Are you with me? Oh no. Did I lose everyone? Hold on a second. Okay, I think we're still together. All right, thank you, Ibrahim. Excellent. Okay. All right, so yeah, I'm just going to talk about eBird Mobile for a little bit. Just that might pose some challenges for some people. I know that there's some aspects of it that still challenge me, especially using it here in Saudi. And once I'm done with that, then we can open it up to any questions that you might have. So I'm going to share a different screen with you now. if that's okay with everyone. Okay, and all right, so now you should see, I think that covered all that I wanted to say about the website. Let me see here. Okay. Okay, so now you guys should see my mobile phone. Is that correct?
Yeah, we see it.
All right, brilliant, thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna take you to my birding apps. I got them all in one place. Okay, so let me get to my notes here. Okay, excellent. So here are my birding apps here on the right. And right in the center there is the eBird app, okay? Now, you can download the eBird app for iPhones, right, or iOS, so as well as Android devices, right, from Google Play. Now, as soon as you open the app, right, you're ready to start a checklist, okay? But before we do that, let me talk about how to change app preferences. So what you want to do to change some of the preferences here is go to more. So tap that option there, more, in the lower right corner. And the first thing you want to do if you're using it for the first time in Saudi Arabia is to install the data pack, right? So there's, this is a new feature of eBird where you have to install data packs for the different countries where you may be birding. So if you tap the first option at the top, okay, and it's going to pull up a list of all the data packs for nearby countries, and if you're in the US, I think it'd be nearby states. So I already have installed Saudi Arabia and Bahrain, apparently. I haven't been to Bahrain in forever, but so I've got Saudi Arabia there, and I can add some of the other countries nearby, like Qatar and the UAE, if I'd like to have those lists added to my app as well. Okay, so just make sure that you've got Saudi Arabia installed, and the reason why is if you use the app without installing the data pack, you will get the basic Saudi Arabia list. So it's pretty much all the birds that have been reported to eBird that are in the eBird master checklist for Saudi Arabia, including the ones that, you know, for example, you would never see in the East, right? We would never see the Asir magpie flying around in Al-Hasa, but if you have that basic list and you're out birding, you'll see all of those birds shown in the list. That's the basic list if you don't install the data pack. But once you install the data pack, then you'll have depending on where you are in the country, you'll be working from a different master checklist. So we've got 4 checklists for the country now. These I worked on a little while back. We have a checklist for the East. We have the checklist for the Central. This is sort of general, you know, broad areas here, inclusive of more than one region, more than one province, right? But we have a checklist for the East. We have a checklist for Central Saudi. We have a checklist for the Northwest of the country. And we have a master checklist for the Southwest of the country. So once you install that data pack, right, if you're birding in the Southwest, that's the checklist that you'll be working from, right? If you're birding in the East, that's the one you'll have here in the East. Okay, so let's see here. Sorry, gotta open my. Okay, so going back, so install the data pack. And the only other thing I was gonna show you here is some options under settings and account. So settings and account here. All right, so under settings and account, we can change the species display name. So again, right, we can opt for common name, scientific name, or both. Okay, so I have selected both here, but it defaults to the common name if there isn't enough room to show both. So usually it only shows the common name in the app, I believe. Then you can also change the language. So you can, again, you can show the common names in Arabic, right? Or any of these other languages. So for the bird checklists, right? eBird supports way more languages than the actual website does. Okay, and now we'll see an example of a list with just Arabic names. We have the option here to turn on or turn off subspecies. So again, we want to see those wagtails, those yellow wagtail subspecies. So make sure that's ticked on. You can opt for miles or kilometers when you input the distances that you travel, right? And those are the main options here under settings and account, okay? So now let's get into creating and submitting the checklists. Okay, so let's see here. All right, so because I changed it to Arabic, now it's loading the Arabic checklist. Okay, so now I'm going to go to this option here for submit to go back to the main screen, starting a checklist. So from this screen, you can change the date. Okay, if maybe you birded yesterday and you're only getting around, right? If you birded yesterday and you're only getting around to inputting your checklist today, as well as the time. Okay, so this is, as soon as you open the app, you're going to start a checklist, right? It'll start at the time that you opened the app, right? So assuming that you've begun birding, but you can change that time, right? If this was from yesterday, we have this option here toggled record track. So this is a cool thing about the application is it'll actually record everywhere that you went while you had the application on and you were while you were birding, and then it will automatically calculate the distance that you traveled and how much time you spent out birding, so you don't have to worry about keeping that in mind yourself. Okay, so once you've indicated the date and the time, then you start your checklist, right? And as you see here, now we've got most of the names in Arabic. Now, like I mentioned, not all of these Arabic names are 100% accepted by everybody. There is some debate as to which ones would be more appropriate. But at least you'll have an idea of what if you don't speak English, then this will help you. So this is a duck. Yeah, let's see here. And once you tap on the species, then you'll see the scientific name there. So if it isn't an accepted Arabic name for the bird, or it's not an Arabic name that you're used to, maybe something different than you've seen before, but you suspect it might be the right bird, then tap on the species name and you'll see the scientific name there, and that way you can confirm. And from there, well, let me go back to the main list. So from here, we can add the count, right? As we see them, right, one by one. You notice there, once I went over 15, then I got a little exclamation point. That means I've went above a high count limit. So this would be an exceptional count. And for that reason, you would need to click on the name and add some details, right? And I usually write, there were a lot. Trust me, there were a million of them. Okay, just some details. If the number you've inputted is very high, right, then just kind of describe the scene for us to make it clear that you were looking at a large flock, or maybe you counted them in small groups over the distance and time that you were out. And we have the option here for breeding codes also. So if you observe some breeding, right, maybe it was a nest with young, you can select that option. add some details. There was a ton. There was a ton of them. And then click done. Other than that, if you see one or two, right, you just tap the plus sign and you've got one or two added to your list. Okay, so some of the birds are not translated, which is interesting. Now, let me see. Yes. So if you do happen to see, oh, hold on a second. If you do happen to see something rare and you don't see it on the list, then you want to go down, tap this option, and click Show Rarities. Okay, so now we're going to see a different list, right? So the same list, but with all the rare birds included. And with these, of course, if you select one, it's automatically highlighted. Like if you say you've seen it, and you'll be prompted to add information, right? Add some details about it. Okay, let's see here. And now this happened 3 times last year, 2020, where we typed in a species, right, Syrian Seren, and it didn't show up because last year we had our first record of Syrian Seren. So you would have to, you could search the name, and if it doesn't appear in a list of options, right, because if we type Seren, oh, sorry, this is the Eastern Province list. That's the, let me think something different. You know, if you type like Indian roller, right, Indian pond heron, Indian roller, these would be rare. But last year we had pale martin, and that wasn't on the list. Okay. So we had to search. I had to search the. So let's say purple martin. That would be insane, right? It's not here in our list, so we could search the full taxonomy. Search the full taxonomy, and then you find your species and you add it, right? This would be an insane bird to see in Saudi. So this is how you add something that is not currently on the Saudi list. Maybe, you know, this will be the first time, or maybe it's been seen before, but not by any eBirders. Okay, so like I said, the current list for the country is 503 species, I think, total. And in eBird, we're only showing 443. So that's a whole lot of vagrants, the records for which are held elsewhere and haven't yet made it into eBird, which is something I'm hoping to rectify at some point. All right, let's see here. I think I'm about done. Oops, here we go. Adding details, yep, adding details, adding breeding codes. Yes, locations. Okay, so when you're done birding and you've input all your numbers, okay, then you click stop. Okay, stopping will stop the track. So the time and your movements will no longer be tracked, and then you can finalize your checklist. So from here, you want to choose location. Now take a look. If you're birding in an area that's pretty popular for bird watching, then there's a chance that there is a hotspot for it. Okay, so if you're birding in that hotspot or right next to the hotspot, then you should select, right? You should select the hotspot for your location. Otherwise, let's tap on that again. Otherwise, what you can do is go to the map. Oh, sorry, I should say, the first option usually when under the list for nearby, the first option is the location where you started the app, right? Where you started your checklist. That would be the first location. And it's usually this 5-digit code, right? As we see here, 36422, and then the area, the region, and the country. That's usually the first option, and it's where you started your checklist. but you can indicate a different location by going to the map. Look, looks like a war zone over here where I'm living. These are just all these buildings under construction. But say this is a building that was under construction and then got flooded with water, and and they couldn't drain it. There's too much of it. But anyway, and there's lots of black-winged stilts and Kentish plover there, so it's becoming a birding hotspot in its own right. But say that's where you saw your birds. You zoom in, hold your finger on the spot where you're birding, and then you'll see at the bottom there that 5-digit code 36421 Al-Mubarraz. This is Sharqiya, the eastern region in Saudi Arabia, and then we can use this location. Right, it's more exact. Let's see here. Oh, as for hotspots though, you cannot suggest hotspots using the app, right? You would have to go in, you'd have to go to the website, access this checklist after you've submitted it, and change the location. And by changing the location, then you'll have the option to suggest that location as a hotspot. So you could maybe plot the point close to where you plotted your original point and then suggest it as a hotspot. But this can only be done through the website and not through the app. We have the option here to change the observation type. So I traveled 10 miles. So this is this is the observation type, traveling, right? 10 miles. Duration, right? It should calculate it automatically if the app was tracking you the entire time. And miles as well. See, I didn't go anywhere. I've just been sitting at my kitchen table the whole time. But if I had moved around, my apartment, you see a little blue line tracking my movements. Okay, and also calculating the distance, which would show here in miles. But like I said, I traveled 10 miles in 7 minutes and saw 3 species. Okay, so after duration, distance, we also have observers. So observers, this is the party size, like we saw on the website. So just tap on the person to increase the number of observers that were in your party. Okay, and once you do that, you'll notice the share option appears. So with 1 observer, there's no option to share. But if you have 2 observers, then you have the option to share this checklist. If you click on that, it will only show the contacts that you've recently shared with using the app. So not those you may have shared with on the website, but only those that you shared checklists with using the app. Otherwise, you're going to have to type in the username. So Saudi birding team. If you want to submit to the birding team during the big day while you're out birding, this is what you would do. You would enter the team, okay, and then enter the team name, right, the team username, and then click done. Okay, so now it's saying it's going to be shared with 1 eBirder. I'm going to undo that just so I don't have to delete it from the team account. And then once you submit the checklist, right, that checklist will be shared with the other observers or with the project that you're participating in. But before you could submit, again, you have to select either yes or no for a complete checklist. So again, a complete checklist is everything that you saw while you're out birding. And keep in mind, right, complete checklist also is using numbers to indicate how many you saw and not just an X for presence, right? So really try to get, a good estimate of how many you actually saw when you're out birding before you submit. And then once you've done that, you can submit your checklist. You can add comments again, using the app, you can add comments about the birding effort at that time. Okay, Let's see here. Last thing. So yeah, sharing checklists using, oh yes, you can, using the app, you can only share a checklist with the person's username and not their personal email. So you can share the checklist on the website with the person's account email, but with the app, you can only share it using their username. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you on the app, and then I'm done, and we'll open things up to questions, is you can go back to old checklists. Okay, so old checklists, submitted checklists. These are checklists that you submitted using the app. So it usually brings you to the not submitted first. Now this is helpful because many times when I'm out birding, I may start the app and then absentmindedly close the app while I'm sort of swiping closed other applications. So if you accidentally close the app while you're out birding, once you reopen it, go to checklists and you'll see the ones that are not submitted. So basically the one that you started that you closed prematurely. And then you can tap on that and you can complete it. I'm going to tap hide to hide that. And you can now edit previous checklists that you already submitted through the app. This was something that you couldn't do before, but you can do it now. This checklist, oh, it's in Arabic, but where is it? Where is it? Okay, no, not all the names translated, but yeah, this past weekend, I saw my first Arabian grosbeak in Saudi, and it was phenomenal. It was such an awesome experience. So yeah, this was the list that I submitted from this past weekend in Al-Baha. But say I needed to make some changes, right? I can tap the edit button and I can edit the number. This is showing an East African list here. What is this? Or is this like the list of everything? Oh, this is the list of like all the birds of the world, apparently. What's going on here? A little glitch here, maybe because I'm using Arabic. Okay, I'm gonna hide that. No need to fix that list. Now, one thing you can't do, as I mentioned, is upload media through the app. So after you've submitted your checklist, right, if you do have media that you need to add, that you would like to add to the list, or maybe need to add to support some rare sighting, you need to go to the website for this. And then from the website, right, from the website, you find your, let's see here. Okay, so now you should see we're back again, right? Once you go to all checklists, after you've submitted through the app, and then you go to all checklists, right? And you can access that through My eBird, the My eBird option here. And you have Manage My Checklists here on the left. You can click on that. Okay. And then you will see the list that you submitted, the checklist you submitted through the application. All right. I think that about covers it. That covers everything that I jotted down that I wanted to talk about this evening. So let me open it up. I'm gonna stop sharing for a little bit, so I get to look at you guys and instead of my screen. And let's see here. Hello. Now, I'd be happy to answer any questions that folks have.
Hey, Greg, this is Heiko. Can
Hi,
you hear me?
Heiko. Yeah, how's it going? Yeah,
Good,
so
good.
by the way, everybody, before you ask your question, but yeah, we were birding with Uta and Heiko out in Baja when we saw the grosbeak, and yeah, Uta was the one to first find it, thankfully, because then it put us on the hunt, and we actually did manage to track it down. It was brilliant. It was an excellent moment. So yeah, how's it going?
Yeah, thanks. Great. Yeah, it was a good trip. I have a question on that app. How does it work when you are like when you don't have service? Is it still okay?
Yeah, you might. Well, that's the thing. You need service to be able to start the list. Well, no, hold on. I'm sorry. No, you can use it offline. I think as long as the data pack has been installed, you'll be able to start the checklist, but you wouldn't be able to submit the checklist or select locations because
Sure.
without service, it wouldn't know where you were. But you could start the list. You can keep a tally of everything you're seeing, and then once you're back in range, then you can submit it and indicate right what the location was.
All right, thanks.
Sure. Anyone else have any questions? See no questions in the chat. All right. Who else is before? I'm happy to let you guys go in just a little bit. Yeah, thank you for. I'll stick around for a little bit if you have any questions for sure. You know, if you don't want to turn on your mic and ask, you can always type your question in the chat. I think Ibrahim's still with us as well. Okay, I think, yeah, Miss Dr. Daha is with us as well. Oh, yes. Yeah, thank you so much, Tim, for mentioning this. The Merlin app. I've only just begun playing around with the Merlin app, but it's really phenomenal. Can you guys see my phone again? Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up, Tim. Thank you very much, because ASME, I've been informed that the chairman of ASME will be writing an article about to encourage more people to start using Merlin, and not just using the app, but also help develop the app in Saudi Arabia, because let me see here. So let me go to Merlin. Merlin's really phenomenal. And I've only just begun playing around with it. My daughter was using it when we were in the US. My daughter was using it to identify sounds. And you can record birds in the field with it and identify them. Or you can actually, if you made an earlier recording, you can upload that recording through the Sound ID. And the only problem is, for Saudi, there's not enough. There are not enough sound recordings out there for Merlin's AI to correctly identify them. So the ASME chairman is going to be writing an article, not just promoting the use of Merlin, but also to encourage more people in the ASME region to get out and capture more audio recordings of bird vocalizations. And in Saudi, that's especially important because there's a huge lack of audio recordings. For example, the grosbeak that we saw last weekend, there's several recordings of the grosbeak from Salalah, Oman, or the Far region in Oman, but there are no recordings from anywhere else. And the 2 recordings I made last weekend, these are the first for Saudi Arabia. Right, so the more recordings that we can make of the birds, the more of these recordings that we upload through eBird and share with Macaulay Library, right? Then the more data, the more information the Merlin AI will have to help us ID bird vocalization using the Merlin app when we're out in the field. So Sound ID doesn't work too well right now. A perfect example of that is. So for example, my sound recordings. So here's a recording of the Asir magpie. And Merlin knows it's a magpie, but it doesn't know it's the Asir magpie, and it's giving no other options. Okay, and that's just because, right, there's just not enough. There's not enough in Merlin right now for the region to do that, but for photo ID, Merlin is excellent now. Okay, Uta and Heiko, let's see how Merlin does with the grosbeak. Okay, so we can upload the photo. We can zoom in, right? Just to try to get the bird to fill as much of the square as we can, and then click next. Okay, now it's asking about the location and the date. We can leave the date, but let's change the location. We can look at the map. Okay, and we were, let's, I think it's gonna do it. I think it's gonna be able to identify it. Okay, so we were right about, where were we? We were right about there, I would say. That's like Al-Baha. Yeah, it's not showing Al-Baha, but okay, we're right about there. Click done. Okay, we've got our location, we've got a date, identify. No, it didn't do it. Not enough to identify it. Okay, but let me see here. But something like this, right? My wife and I, we saw garden warbler and barred warbler going crazy for prickly pear cactus near Taif. Okay, so choose the location. I think we can even use the current location, and I think it should handle it just fine. All right, so it gave us the first option, barred warbler, but the second option, right, the garden warbler. And that's my bird. Okay, so report this bird with eBird. Nope, it's already reported. So, oh, it looks like I have to sign in to be able to indicate, right, that's the bird and help. That way, I imagine we'd be helping the AI by signing in and confirming that which bird is actually featured in the picture. But anyway, yeah, I'm hoping to play around with this more because I've been asked to, as a compliment to the OSME chairman's article, just to write a little bit about how I got into audio recording, and to make it, help try to get more people involved in the region. And starting cheap and then kind of working your way up there as you get, as your funds will allow, or as your interest will drive you. Okay. Let's see here. So yeah, that's the Merlin app. Really, really brilliant. Okay. So any other questions, guys? I'm sure everybody's tired. I'm super tired today. Long day, long week. So definitely ready to call it an evening. Okay. Well, in that case, thank you guys so much for joining me this evening and being part of this. Thank you, Uta. Anyone who wasn't able to join us, then let them know that I'll be uploading this to YouTube. I'll put it on my website as well. I'm particularly interested in getting more Saudis using eBird. So Daha and Ibrahim and Nader Fahed and all the folks out there who are really active in the Saudi birding community. Really, please share this, and if you can support those who don't speak English, that would be brilliant, because I know a lot of people who are interested, but they're not as confident with their English, and they could benefit from your support just to understand how to use the program better. Okay. All right. Thank you very much, folks.
Can you hear me, Greg?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, it's Tim Appleton here, and Penny, with the founders of Global Birding. And
Hi, thank you for joining us.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you for a great evening, very informative. I'm looking forward to seeing that on YouTube, which I think will be really useful for an awful lot of people around the world. So thanks very much for doing this. Let us know when it's going out on YouTube. But also, I just want to thank everybody that's there tonight, and for those who will be there on the 9th taking part. We had our 113th team, I think it was, registered today. So it's going really well. And I just wish everybody around the world a fantastic weekend, but particularly on the recording day on Global October Big Day. So thanks again, everyone. Have a safe day and a good night's sleep probably now. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tim. Yeah, thank you for being with us. And yeah, we're really excited. The folks that are with us this evening are but a fraction of the team that's going to be out on Saturday. So we're super excited. It's going to be a great one for sure.
Good. Thank you.
All
good
right.
night.
Have a great evening. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Okay. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.